Meghan Markle's attendance was any measure remarkable at the One Young World Summit in Manchester, England, as a counsellor, coming as it did in her journey before and after she became the Duchess of Sussex. She is a One Young World ambassador, showing the world that she is also pledged to make a change by uniting young leaders of the world annually, to devise solutions for our most pressing global problems. On the other hand, her recent appearance at the summit turned out to be controversial and debatable, above all with regard to the content and main idea of her keynote speech. The summit is guided by Bob Geldof, an esteemed Irish musician, activist, and humanitarian who is the president and founder of One Young World, in the direction and manner of involvement among its participants. His legacy in advocacy and philanthropy, notably through initiatives like Live Aid, sets a considerable influence over the proceedings of the One Young World Summit. Attendees to the Manchester Summit report that Meghan mainly talked about her own story during the address, covering her transition into royalty and her relationship with the media and the royal family. Several sources have criticized her for the emphasis on her own personal journey, spanning over 40 minutes and with little focus on the wider aims of One Young World or the serious global issues at stake. This raises questions on a proper balance between when to use the stories to inspire or make a personal connection with the audience, and at the same time, heed to the need for the focus of the summit on core themes and goals. That speech by Meghan has since become a centerpiece in a debate about the extent to which personal grievances are fitted in platforms meant for wider global dialogue. The reaction to Meghan Markle's speech at the One Young World Summit in Manchester brought into sharp focus a visible disconnect between what she intended and what both the assembled delegates and conference organizers, among them Bob Geldof, had anticipated. Critics highlighted that her speech deviated too much into personal narrative and failed to depict the empowerment and achievements of young leaders that the summit essentially addresses. Some in the audience found this characterization pretty biting, with one calling it the most self-indulgent speech ever given at a conference of hundreds committed to youth leadership empowerment. This further criticism exposes the biggest fault line of the speech: it was too much about Meghan's experience rather than bringing into focus the exemplary young people in the room and their achievements. Online forums and media commentary were quick and dramatic, suggesting that Meghan's speech was yet one more example of an issue dating back to their royal exit. Critics have said the couple appeared more interested in getting stuff off their chest about how they perceived their royal experience was, in their view, not being properly used for impactful philanthropy rather than being of any real value on that front. Bob Geldof's reported response to the situation clarifies the wedge driven between the mission of the summit and Meghan's speech. Insiders suggest Geldof spoke to Meghan directly of her ineligibility to continue as counselor, underscoring the gravity of the misstep. This face-off, it is said, underscores a resolute organizational stance, from Geldof through to the body, that, if necessary, the summit was to focus on narrative from youth leadership and global challenges rather than individual narratives from speakers of prominence or public stature. A statement has been issued concerning changes to the Duchess of Sussex's role within the organization following the controversy of Meghan Markle's speech at the One Young World Summit. Although unconfirmed, reports suggest Meghan was forced to leave by Bob Geldof, bringing an end to her time as a One Young World youth counselor. This decision led Bob Geldof to search for another counselor, one who would reflect the spirit and aims of One Young World, where the focus would be on inspired leadership and a passion to change society, rather than gathering publicity for oneself. Following a careful assessment of prospective candidates, Kat Graham was chosen for the role by Geldof. Graham, a best-known figure for her acting, especially in The Vampire Diaries, and at the same time working with many charities, was more than perfect for the role. Kat Graham's appointment as a youth counselor for One Young World signals a new direction for the organization. With 32 years of age, a track record of activism and advocacy in gender equality, women's rights, black racial violence, and LGBTQ+ inclusion through her organization Sangria 7 underscores deep commitment to social betterment. Geldof's choice shows an urge for leaders who use their rooms to make a true difference and arouse the new generation of activists and change agents. appointment by Graham only outlines her determination to use the One Young World stage as a vehicle to accelerate the youth leadership of the world into urgent global conversations and inspire a spirit of united action. Her inclusion in this speaks towards a future that will remain laser-focused on the mission of One Young World, true advocacy and making real societal change. Still, the fallout from the incident at the One Young World Summit with Meghan Markle, the deafening silence from Meghan and Harry over the fallout of Meghan's speech and her resignation from her counselor role. This silence did not prevent some sources, either anonymous or off the record, from suggesting that Meghan's departure was a personal choice, not one at his own request, and that it had been something of an open secret. However, reports from various media and eyewitness accounts during the summit came in to put a different scenario, saying that Bob Geldof had taken the decision to cancel Meghan because of her self-centered speech. This has only further fueled much of the existing criticism against Meghan and Harry, with detractors noting that the two tend to concentrate more on their grievances in public than fulfilling charitable commitments with the same gravity and responsibility that their high-profile roles demand. This also raises questions as to whether an organization like One Young World should be willing to provide a platform largely used for personal expression, rather than toward the core mission to ameliorate issues facing the world. The reaction to the role Meghan had played in speeches she had given at the summit would further be lessons for the couple in the future course of managing their public and charitable endeavors. On the other hand, Kat Graham taking over the role of Meghan received a positive response. Her way of presenting was seen as more conforming to the spirit and objectives of One Young World, with more praise and anticipation. Supporters are keen to see how she will leverage her influence to inspire and mobilize young leaders around the world. Her artistic renaissance, combined with an iron determination to carry on with her wide-ranging social causes, has only helped further cement her place within the tight-knit philanthropic community but also her star standing in the art world. As the next One Young World Summit nears, Graham is sure to be looked at through a different lens for assessing the impact that her difference has made. Her involvement in the organization represents a bright new chapter for One Young World and for Graham in her continued efforts to bring positive change to the globe.